Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you 2 easy steps to mix tambourine and shaker tracks. We're going to be looking at some percussion elements today, but before we dive in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and look at these percussion tracks. Let me start by playing you the mix as it currently stands. This is just an instrumental mix. I have all of our vocals muted here so we can focus in on our tambourine and our shaker track. So let me play you the finished instrumental mix for this track here. So tambourine and shaker are sounding good in there, right? They're tucked low enough that you can still hear them. They're not overtaking the mix or overtaking the drum rhythm, but they're adding their little bit of movement and life to the track here. Let's jump into the tambourine here first. Both of these elements are just 2 steps to getting them mixed. They're easy, blow through them, move on, get them set in your mix here. So let's solo up our tambourine here, take a listen, and I'll A-B just this one plugin here. You can hear our before and after. A little bit more lively, a little bit more intense, really feels like they're going after it with that tambourine, right? Kind of brings our tambourine track to life here, gives it a little bit more energy than it already had. First step here for mixing tambourine and shaker track, we'll go over the shaker track here in a second, is a little bit of EQ. I love just pulling in this Neve style EQ. It feels to me like it gives it a little bit more grit and a little bit more edge when I boost up on the top end here. Excuse me. But all we need is 2 moves here. I like to go to the 220 here and pull it all the way down. So it's a shelf at 220, pulling it down negative 16 dB there. So wiping out everything there on the low end, a little bit up into the low mids there. Really cleans up the bottom end and tightens up our shaker track because we don't need all that energy going into our microphone, especially because this is more than one tambourine hitting. Any kind of air blast or noise in the room, we don't need any of that coming through on our microphone. So just wiping off our low end completely there, 220 and below, with a shelf. Then next move here is we're coming up to 3.2K. So that's one of the bands here, or one of the options, the frequency options here on this Neve style EQ. We're boosting about 3 dB at 3.2K. And let me show you here, I'll hit play and I'm gonna boost this up even further. This is the tambourine sound here. You don't wanna boost a bunch of top end. That's where things can start to get harsh and kind of pokey sounding to the ear. Right here around this 3K area. That's that percussion, that tambourine, that shaker sound right there. So I'm gonna hit play here and I'll boost this frequency up for you. That's where all the energy is sitting on this tambourine track. And on most percussion tracks, anywhere in this high mid area, kind of like 2K to 5K range, that's where you can boost to get a little bit of life, a little bit of extra intensity or energy on your percussion tracks here. So step 1 is our EQ. Just 2 moves here, wiping out our low end with a shelf, making sure we're not getting any low air blasts or any noise from the room in there. And then our second move here is a little boost, 3 dB boost in the fundamental frequency range of our tambourine or of our percussion track. So at 3.2K, about 3 dB there. Step 2 is compression. We're going to do about 3 dB compression on our louder hits here on the tambourine track. What that's going to do is it's going to pull our bigger hits down a little bit, so you can see our bigger hits there. That's where the tambourine is actually making contact with your hand, or where you're actually hitting the tambourine. It's going to pull those hits down 3 dB, but when we pull our output gain back up to even out our level, it's going to increase all of these here in between. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see all of those, the little shakes in between of the tambourine, right? It's going to bring those up in volume so you can hear those, and that's what's going to add movement and life to our mix as a whole. So let me hit play. You can see how much compression we're doing, and I'll A-B this compressor. You can hear what it adds or what it exaggerates about the tambourine track. Tightens up our bigger hits a little bit. Make sure our low end or our low mid area isn't too lacking with the big cut we did at 220, that big shelf there. So make sure we're not too lacking there. We get a little bit of that energy back from this compressor. It's one of the reasons I love this 1176 or this FET comp from PreSonus here. And then doing that 3 dB compression, again, we control our bigger hits, but it allows us to bring up our quieter hits here, which is going to add the movement and the life we want to our track as a whole. So one more time, I'll do a full A-B here on this plugin, and then we'll put it back into the mix, and I'll do an A-B on it as well here. To me, this is one of those little things of when you click this plugin in as a whole, when you turn on this EQ and compressor, it's the difference between someone just kind of playing along to the track, just kind of holding tempo right, and someone who's really into it, really enjoying it, and putting their vibe, imparting their character on the song. Those are those little things that add up across the mix. Let's move on to our shaker here. Same kind of deal, same 2 steps. So if we review our steps here, EQ, so getting rid of anything on our low end, boosting a little bit of the fundamental in the high mids, and then step 2 is our compression. So let's jump in here. Same moves here, right? 220 on this Neve style EQ, shelf, pulling it down 16 dB, so wiping out all of our low end and a little bit up into the low mid area on this shaker track. Make sure we don't get any air blasts or any proximity effect coming off the shaker if they're too close to the microphone, or if they move a little bit, we're not going to hear any varying or any variations in the low end. No noise from the room. We're going to get rid of all of that there in the low end. And then same frequency here, right? This 3.2K, that's that shaker, that's that tambourine sound. Let me hit play here on the shaker. We'll do the same thing. I'll boost this up. You can hear how that's where the energy lies on this shaker track. You can hear when we boost that frequency range up, you start to feel the energy come in. As we go back towards 0 there, it kind of levels out, gets a little bit dull sounding. Feels like there's a scoop there. There's something missing from our shaker sound. So step 1, get your EQ set. Wipe off your low end, anything you don't need down there. Usually below about 200 or 300 on tambourine and shaker. It depends on how much thickness and how much low end you want coming from these elements. Usually you don't want too much. And then a little boost in the fundamental. So anywhere in the high mids, 2K to 5K is going to give you a little bit of energy on your percussion tracks here. Then step 2 is our compression. Same kind of deal here as the tambourine. We're going to do about 3 dB of compression, if that, here on our bigger hits. So we don't have as much variation as we did on the tambourine with the shaker here, but you can see our in-between hits are quieter than our bigger hits. We don't want to change that dynamic too much, but a little bit of tucking on our bigger hits is going to help our quieter hits come up to, again, give some movement to our mix overall. So let me A-B the compressor here for you. Just gives our shaker a boost of energy to make it feel like, again, like they're really going for it. Instead of someone who's just shaking the instrument, just keeping time, it feels like they're really into the song and they're grooving along with the drummer, along with the rest of the band. That makes a difference, these kind of little things added up over the mix there. And you can see we're doing about 1.5 to 3 dB of compression across the board there. Let's put this back in the mix now, and then we'll A-B both of them here. So I'll take off the compressor and EQ on both tracks here. Just EQ and compression, those two steps, takes your tambourine and shaker, your percussion section, from supporting your snare drum maybe, or supporting your hi-hat, to adding movement to the entire mix. So for me, it takes it from moving just with the snare, right, just kind of bobbing your head with the snare, to bobbing along with the whole song, right? Then you're bouncing with the entire track, because you can feel that tambourine moving, and you can feel that shaker moving underneath our drum kit there, and supporting the track, but still adding some movement and some life. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.